Hi everyone, how's it going? Hope you're having a good week. Hola, ¿qué tal todos? Today's topic for the video is about the importance of values in teenagers. Before we begin, I want to start off by reading you a quote which I like very much and I find it to be very fitting for today's topic. Give the ones you love wings to fly, roots to come back to, and reasons to stay. It's by the Dalai Lama. It's a wonderful quote which I think expresses very poetically and in a very lovely way, the reason why we associate values to be as wings that we provide our children. Because effectively, parenting really is about giving them these tools, these strengths, amongst which values are one of the most important things, to then go out into the world and fly on their own. And the roots are actually the freedom that we give them to decide how to use these values or to modify, to tweak them to their own ways, because let's not forget that they're completely separate individuals to us. And if you give them this freedom to decide on how to apply these values that you're giving them, well, then they will develop a trust and confidence in you to then have furthermore reasons to come back to you. Okay, so that's how we started off today. And it brings me on to telling you, where do values come from? Well, they come from a variety of places, predominantly from the experiences that we've lived with others, being family or friends, the amount we've traveled in the world, all the experiences that we've had in our formative educational years, and also the people we spend time with. So this is where our value system comes from. What are your core values? And I want to give you a few that I find to be very prevailing in the times that we're in, and perhaps you can identify with them as being your own, or you may have your own set. The most important thing is to have a set of core values, because that's where the foundation is set, and that's where you can start working with your children and start inspiring them. So the list that I'm going to give you comprise of kindness and empathy, integrity and honesty, self-care, commitment to the environment, gratitude, and self-accountability. So these are just the ones that I find to be extremely important. As I said, each one has their own set. Ask yourself, when was the last time you checked into your own? And I'm going to be devil's advocate here now. So that time when you're going through something and you're having to take a decision, or you feel like you're being pushed into something, there's a feeling one develops in the pit of their stomach of discomfort, right? And that feeling, that discomfort that you get in your body, is a sign that tells you that you're not in alignment, you're not completely in parallel with what your values are, in accordance with what you're asked to do, or the choice that you're making. So effectively, the backbone that we have are our values, and we are always constantly making decisions and driven by these set of core values that are within us. So those are what values are, the importance. Also, now I'm going to tell you why are they so important to be to be instilled, for you to inspire into your teenagers. Let's forget the word rules right now, because it's not about enforcing rules, rather than inspiring them and motivating them with a set of beliefs which can be applied to all the areas of their lives. They're going through a fundamental change, both mentally as well as physically, as you know. I always mention this in every talk. They're being molded, they're like plasticine, and so the role that you play here is to try to influence them with the most adequate set of values, so that they are able to then filter out what's not convenient to them and use what is right for them, which is why it's so important to instill these in them, and not by enforcing them in rules, rather than by practicing, by showing, by leading by example. And this brings me on to obviously the core of the talk today, which is tips to help you on how to make our teenagers, which will tomorrow become our leaders, and help them to be productive and efficient in every walk of life. Okay, so the first one, and I've got them right here. The first one is be a good role model. By leading and giving examples. If you want them to be honest, well, then show them not to lie when you have to say no to a commitment. Isn't it so easy? Somebody calls you up and asks you to do something for them or attend a function, and it's so many people just decide to sort of lie and make an excuse. Well, this is probably incorrect, isn't it? Instead of lying and making an excuse, you can be honest and just say that you're busy, and stay true to what you believe in, because if children see that, if your teenager sees that, they will also play on the same on the same notion, instead of maybe finding it acceptable to lie in the future for something that they go through. Okay, so lead by example. Number 2 is wait and watch for the teaching moments. It's good to obviously talk about values, at the dinner table and make a conversation out of this, but it's even more effective when you can be in an environment, in a context which invites talking about values. So an example, you're in a grocery store and you see a young child disrespectfully speaking to an adult. Well, use this moment to ask your child, what are you observing? Do you see anything wrong here? What do you see right about it? If you would modify something, what would it be? Don't give them the answer straight away. Allow them to think, allow them to analyze. These are abilities which are also very important for them. So that's when they will, come out through the other end and give you, their deliberations. So look for the moments and use them to your benefit to sort of inculcate those core values that you would like them to learn. The one which I like a lot is serving together for others. So one of the most important values I think we all agree on is to be grateful and to serve others and be at service of others. One of the ways that we practice this at home is by preparing sandwiches for a soup kitchen once every so often, and the way that I explain to the family that this is something that we do as a family service is almost like a production line that happens at home, where each person is responsible for a certain task in preparing that sandwich. So somebody will be cutting the bread, somebody will be filling, and then another person will be wrapping the sandwich. So again, get involved in family service projects, because that's exactly how you can practice what you preach to your child. Another tip that I can offer you is when they're going through hard times, values are exceptionally important. Okay, so when your teenager is struggling through something, which they will, and wait for it to happen, because it will happen, this is when you should be putting forward to them that they should not be giving up, motivating them, finding ways to see the positive when everyone else sees something absolutely negative about it. This is what helps them to become resilient, and that's why this value is so important. Again, I would put forward resilience as well, seeing a solution when everyone else doesn't see one. Okay, the sixth one, because we are on number 6 now, is praise them when they show and uphold their values, especially for the younger ones, when they're able to be honest instead of just getting away with a white lie. If they admit that they lied and they come to you and say they're sorry, that too is something you should praise them with, because that's when you're realizing that their little stomach is feeling that funny feeling, and they've responded to that and come to you and been honest about what they're actually, what they've done that's wrong in their eyes. So appraisal, fundamental. Also with teenagers, if you notice, they're very impressionable, aren't they, at this age? Their friends can impress them easily. Technology, social media, there's too much stimulus that they're at, that they're exposed to. So if your teenager is able to filter through that stimulus and come through again on the other end, having practiced a core value that they've learned at home, well, bravo, and applaud them for that too, because it's extremely difficult, and I think if you put yourself in their shoes, you'd also feel very proud of yourself. Stimulating questions. This is a very good one, because you're putting context into a situation which invites them to think, analyze, and then deliberate and come through with an answer which could surprise you. It's not necessary that your value is the right one. They may have an answer that is equally important, and it could be practicing a completely different value. I want to give you an example of something that happened with us over the summer. We were having dinner, and when it was time to pay the bill, we paid in cash, and the change that we received was more, quite a lot more than what the waiter had to give back to us. So we as a family, my husband and I, decided to ask the children to see what had happened. They mathematically checked all the numbers, and they realized that yes, we were given back a larger sum. And we asked them, we were like, so what would you do with this extra money? What options, what solutions do you have for this scenario? It would have been very easy to say, well, we're gonna tell the waiter that, look, you've given us more, but we wanted to go one step beyond, and we wanted to see what they thought we could do with it. I think what's really important in this topic is to sit down and ask yourself what your family values are, because every family functions differently. I think it's extremely important to be respectful towards each other. So that's fundamental. That in itself is a value, to respect and show respect to those in your lives. And once you've decided what your values are, go about in your own creative ways to inspire, to inculcate, and allow your children to learn from this pot of wisdom that you have created over the years. And today, as parents, should be responsible towards giving them out and giving them this gift, these wings that the Dalai Lama so nicely says are for them to fly. So I invite you to let your children fly. Let them make the mistakes too. Remember, if you fall, only then will you fly again. So thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you have, do drop me a comment or like my video. Please share it on, and any questions you can write to me through my website. Thank you very much. Have a beautiful day and a lovely week. Bye.